Hello, friends. It's Kelly, and I am back with another layout for Baby Got Scraps. And I'm just showing you the scraps that I plan on using, and I have quite a few of them for this layout, and I will have leftovers. I've tried really hard to use all my scraps that I pull, and I would say I have been about 95% successful. So the scraps that I do have left are pretty small, and the ones that are still usable, I'll just throw those back in my scraps file. And so I had this coordinating green cardstock. Well, it's not cardstock, but it's solid colored green paper, and it matched the leaves in this floral perfectly. And they're from two totally different collections, and I want to say two different manufacturers, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But anyway, my point is it matched really well. So I'm going to use some of these smaller scraps to create a layered photo mat. And whenever I have a busy pattern like this, I like to, and I do this a lot of times anyway, whether I have a busy pattern or not, but I like to mat the paper, the photo on white cardstock, and then start layering papers around it. And I like the look of a layered photo mat. It just brings a lot of interest to the layout. So I'm just distressing my edges a little bit. I like to give it a little bit of lift. I just think it looks more interesting. And on this layout, I spend a lot of time hem-hawing around. I was pretty indecisive, and for the sake of time, because I have a whole lot of these, my goal is to make at least 3 layouts per week using my scraps throughout the month of January. So, and having a process video for each of those. So for the sake of time, I had to cut a lot of this out. And plus it would just be boring watching me be indecisive and change things around 100 times. But just believe me when I say that it takes, so, you know, sometimes layouts just don't come together easily. And I struggle, and, you know, sometimes I struggle making decisions, and that's just the way it is sometimes. So don't let the video fool you, because it looks a lot faster than what it actually was. Or it looks like the layout happened, it was put together a lot quicker than it actually was. So I'm, like I said, trying to make decisions, and I wanted, because that background paper is so busy, I felt like I needed a place for my photo to rest, and I also wanted a bigger spot for journaling on this layout. So I used this ombre paper, which was also in this page kit, so I did get it used. And I really like how it helped kind of tone that pattern down a little bit and brings more focus into the photos. And I had this scrap left over, and I wanted to try and see if I could get that used. And then I keep playing with this circular journaling spot, and I end up not using it, but I really wanted to. But it has tire tracks on one side, and so I could really only use half of it anyway, because I mean the tire tracks doesn't look right with this layout. And that came from one of my boys, you know, one of my boy themed collections. So I pulled 2 different thicker sets. One was from Paige Evans. I think it was called Fresh Start. was the name of the collection. It was from a couple of years ago, but I've had that thicker set in my stash for a while, and I'm trying to use that some of those things that I don't use very often. And then I don't know the name of the white thicker set. I've had that in my stash, and I actually have multiple of those because I love the font and they're easy to use. And to get that on there straight, I drew a line, and now I'm erasing the pencil line, and I used my soft bristle paintbrush over there to wipe away the pencil dust or the eraser dust. See, I so want to use that because I love this. I love the circular shape. And here, I cut out some parts of this, and I messed around with lots of different embellishments and what I wanted to do, and I just couldn't come up with a good solution. Well, felt like I couldn't with any of the things that I had, so I always revert back to florals when I don't know what to do because florals are my fail-proof. They never fail me. So, and I always like the layout when it's done when I use flowers. So, using lots of these florals that I brought forth from other layouts that I've done for this series. And I have like a little tray next on my left hand side full of these embellishments that I carried over from previous layouts from this series that I'm trying to use up. And I'm much more likely to get them used if I can see them and they're within arm's reach. So I had this Felicity Jane page tab, and then you see I have the other two tabs that I used, my tab punch and some of the pattern papers. But like I said, those end up getting covered up. Well, this is the third time I've done this voiceover because I keep having distractions. And so I probably haven't said that yet. I did cover up those two tabs up at the top. But in one of my previous voiceovers, I did say that. My dog started barking like crazy because he heard the wind blow or something. And then I had technical issues on my second one. So now I'm doing this the third time. The third time's a charm, right? Let's cross our fingers and hope so. So I'm creating two clusters on a diagonal. I have one at the top left and one at the bottom right. And I'm starting with my biggest element, which is this floral. And now I'm looking for things to add around those areas to kind of build interest in the clusters and to add. And whenever I'm building clusters, I'm always thinking, okay, are they balanced? And I'm thinking like color wise, does one feel heavier than the other? So I pull things to balance them out. So if you'll notice, I have florals in both. I have hearts in both of those clusters. And now I have like a little yellow bow down here, which brings in more yellow to the bottom. And that is how I start building my clusters. I always start with the largest element, and then I work my way down in size. So I like to have different, a variety of sizes, a variety of texture. And I drew my journaling lines with pencil so they can be erased if their mom decides she doesn't want those lines to stay there, she can erase them. And now you can see I'm starting to cover up with more florals in each cluster. And then I put that Happy Day sticker down at the bottom just because I felt like that area needed another pop of yellow. And as you saw, I just cut up that whole white floral piece, and don't be afraid to do that. Like, if you want it to go in a certain area and you need a certain color, don't be afraid to cut those things apart. Like, here's an example. I cut that tiny little blue flower off and I just left the rest and threw it away because I didn't want all that the black lines to show. So that is the end of this layout. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to go check out all the other people participating. You'll find that information below. Thanks. Bye.